Greetings, everyone. Welcome to our exclusive Global Leading Voices webinar campaign. We are delighted to have you join us here today. Please be informed that if you have any questions during the presentation, you may type them into the question box in your control panel. The presenter will answer your questions at the end of the presentation accordingly. Now, without further ado, we will turn the time over to our presenter, who will begin shortly.
Hello and welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Etmir Yashare and I will be your moderator for today's webinar, Compliance Meets Security, Implementing NIST and ISO IEC 27034. We're excited to discuss this topic and be joined by our esteemed speakers today, Dr. Michael Crawley and Dr. Bassem and Mr. Bassem Lamouchi. Now, before we get started, I'd like to inform the audience that this session is being recorded and will be posted on our website and YouTube channel along with the slides of the presentation. Furthermore, we encourage you to participate by submitting your questions at any time using the Q&A feature in the chat box. Without further ado and delay, let's get started. I'm going to hand it over to our first speaker, Dr. Crawley.
Greetings all, can you hear me? Janir, is my audio okay?
Yes, we can continue.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to first and foremost welcome and thank you for joining us. For those of you who may or may not be aware, we are on a Thanksgiving Day in the United States of America. So this is a day that's a very big holiday. And it is just an honor where we give thanks and have big meals and spend times with family. So it's an honor to be with you on this day. You can see my cooking pots back there in the background to do this presentation. So without further ado, let me go in here and zip through. My name is Dr. Mike Crawley. There are a few little blurbs here about my background and credentials, education, business, cybersecurity. There's a lot that goes into with project management. Agile, a very interesting form of project management. Some of you are familiar with it, some may not. Very critical though when you're doing any type of cybersecurity or managing any project of any type, cybersecurity being one of them. I'll post also LinkedIn and email down in the chat when we have an opportunity, just so you guys can do follow-up chat, because there's going to be a lot. We're going to be coming here like a bit of a fire hydrant, just to get you acquainted with what's going on. We're going to use a case study style, because there's so much going on with the moving parts that are involved here. We don't expect you to grasp every single concept, but if we put it in the form of the case study, we give you a construct of a scenario. We'll talk about NIST, we'll talk about the ISO, and then we'll give you context on how they fit in with this case study, and that'll help you out. Just so you know, afterwards, PUCB has plenty of courses so you can take a deeper dive. And also, I'm going to be making available this ebook we have here is about AI and cyber. All of you will be getting that for free later on down the line, as well as some micro overview sessions to give you a little bit more amplification about the NIST ISO to help you out as you move forward. Without further ado, let me go ahead and get Bassem to give his introduction.
Good morning, afternoon, everyone. Before we dive into today's session, let me take a moment to introduce myself. My name is Bassem Lamouchi, and I am specialized in cybersecurity, application security framework, and compliance standard like ISO 27034. I had the opportunity to conduct the first train the trainer session in ISO 27034 with PUCB. So over the years, I have worked closely with organizations to integrate security practices into their development lifecycle, helping them build resilient applications while meeting regulatory requirements. My goal today is to simplify ISO 27034, highlight its relevance, and demonstrate to you how it can transform your application security practices. So I'm thrilled to be here, and I look forward to share insight and learning from your questions.
Okay, fantastic. So moving right ahead, what we have as far as an agenda is concerned is we're going to be looking at about an hour, of course, as you all know. This will consist of the introduction, which we just did. We're now going to overview the use case or case study. That'll take about 5 minutes. Then we'll go through and talk about NIST. We'll talk about ISO. Again, there's quite a bit going on there. But we'll spend the majority of our time going through that case study and contextualizing it to NIST and ISO. So that's where we want to put a lot of our time. We'll summarize, and then at the end, hopefully we have some time for question and answers, even if that means we stay a few extra minutes just so you can get your questions in. So let me jump over to the case study here so that you guys can see where we're coming from. It's a rather, it's not overly extensive, but enough where you may not retain every concept up front. So in the slides, we'll be summarizing after I go through this. So we've got an organization called Quick CRM. Usually customer relationship management is what people think about there. This is an expanding company. They've launched a cloud-based customer relationship management platform. It's tailored for small and medium-sized business requirements. The platform's designed to be budget-friendly, easy to use, and the goal of simplifying customer interactions, improving productivity to help businesses achieve outcomes for their clients. Aimed at providing a cost-effective option compared to enterprise-level solutions, Quick CRM has swiftly gained popularity by attracting numerous businesses looking to update their operations. So they're getting out there, the stage. The Quick CRM platform offers a range of functions, so it can do a lot of different things, from managing customer data, tracking sales efficiently, also automating its task, instant reporting capabilities, real-time functionality included in its core functions. So this is a really super duper system. It's tailored with considerations for scalability, assurance of the ability to seamlessly and compatibly integrate with pre-existing business tools, such as things that we use regularly, email. Organizations use accounting software, as well as user-friendly options for connecting to third-party apps, so APIs and so forth. Quick CRM platform flexibility should allow its clients to seamlessly customize settings in order to suit their needs and preferences, which makes it an appealing choice in a diverse industry spanning various platforms, everything from retail and in between. Quick CRM focuses on speeding up the adoption process by providing the ability to set up an organization's basic configuration needs, thus empowering customers to efficiently make use of the platform's feature. Moreover, the company provides a cloud architecture which allows several customers to utilize shared resources while maintaining the security and segregation of data, So they have a customer named ABC Retail. This is one of the customers for this platform. This is a chain that focuses on lifestyle products. And they found that the platform's ease of use and flexibility was rather impressive. So ABC Retail decided to transition all of its customer-facing operations to Quick CRM and use it to handle customer information so they can efficiently track sales pattern and customize their marketing strategies. Sarah, who happens to be a sales manager at ABC Retail, she relies heavily on this Quick CRM to manage leads and to effectively finalize deals. Utilizing this platform, the Quick CRM application, it enables Sarah to stay updated about customer details, transformation, because they went from another system to this one, ultimately enhanced her efficiently and enabled her team to consistently surpass their sales goals over multiple quarters. So that's great. There is a bit of a challenge here, just like always when you're doing digital transformations. With Quick CRM's customer base growing, a challenge emerged for the company to uphold the performance and dependability of its platform. ABC Retail and other businesses relied heavily on this Quick CRM platform for their normal operations, so any outages, disturbances could have a profound impact on profits, as you might imagine. Moreover, the increasing number of companies entrusting Quick CRM with customer data emphasized the need to prioritize data security and compliance within their industry. So you got security and compliance. Consequently, the Quick CRM leadership understood the importance of expanding their operation and fortifying their infrastructure to cater to this growing demographic. So the leadership decided to upgrade their platform systems to enhance customer service while introducing the features to enhance user satisfaction. Now, here's some things to think about. Of course, that was a lot. We'll summarize when we get to the slides. So if you don't remember all of this, it's okay. How can Quick CRM implement tactics to maintain steady performance while expanding its operations? How do companies such as ABC Retail evaluate the systems to rely on handling customer information, and how should businesses adapt to growing significance to safeguard and adhere to regulations in a cloud-centric setting? So in summary, this example of Quick CRM showcases the possibilities as well as some thoughts, considerations, and hurdles that companies encounter when providing SaaS, software as a service, solutions for present-day businesses. The company's dedication to innovation and customer happiness is praiseworthy. However, if you're going to last in the industry for a long time and scale, operational efficiency requires continuous assessment of technologies, procedures, and infrastructure. So this is ongoing. It's not a one-time deal. You have to always be assessing. So we're urged to delve into the story and consider the approaches they could adopt in order to improve dependency and so forth. The other thing we're going to do is take a look at maybe some things that have not been looked at so closely and carefully with CRM. Now, to start off, I'm going to give you an overview of NIST. Some of you are familiar with it. We have a broad range of folks here, from experience to, okay, what's this all about? So we're catering to the entire audience. So just walking through, NIST is comprised of quite a bit. So for example, it provides a functional structure so that we can integrate seamlessly with global standards. And what a lot of people don't know about NIST is that it incorporates and embodies, which is the National Institute of Standards and Technologies. It embodies ISO, GDPR, I mean, tons of standards. Organizations can implement SP 800 series, which is one of the biggest and most profound series of what we call special publications under NIST. Its guidelines in order to enhance security, manage risk, and achieve compliance. Even incorporates emerging technologies such as the White House Executive Order, which emphasizes zero trust, secure software, proactive monitoring, and addressing evolving threats. And it's a combination, as I mentioned, of NIST, the special publications, 800 series, and others, ISOs. Bassem's going to talk about one of them in particular, and then EU regulations. So I'm going to flip through this very quickly because these next 6 slides outline some of the frameworks that are embodied. We don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but I just want you to get an idea of the gravity of NIST cybersecurity in global context. So there is the cybersecurity framework, 5 functions to that. There's the risk management framework, and then there's the secure software development framework. So you got SP 837, SP 800-218. There are other 800 series framework, SP being special publications. You got the 800-53, security and privacy controls, federal and non-federal. 800-161, supply chain. 137, continuous monitoring of systems. 207, zero secure. 2000-001. And then what Bassem's going to be talking about is 27034, which is standards for applications and software development lifecycle. 27701, some GDPR. Now this points out the EU GDPR, but EU has a lot of standards and frameworks. It embodies all of that. Well, just one of them is called out here. White House Executive Orders, EO 14028, EO 13636, CIS controls, COBRT, ITIL, and there are others. So that's just to give you an overview. And again, you're going to get the links. Make sure that you send, we connect, email. You'll be getting some other, in addition to this recording, some other free kind of resources to kind of help you understand the basics of this. And then of course, when you're ready for the deeper dive, you take the PECB courses that really immerse you in all these categories. So key insights for organizations. The whole idea is for these NIST frameworks, whether it be the cybersecurity framework, the risk management framework, SDLC, or many of the others that we talked about and some that we haven't, they provide a foundational structure to integrate seamlessly into global standards like 27001 and the 27034 that Bassem's going to be talking about. They, in NIST itself, the special publication 800 series, and there's a plethora of those, are really core and foundational to provide guidelines to enhance security, manage risk, and achieve compliance. So you'll reference those, look at those, and they inform us and organizations on how we should align so that we are in compliance with global standards. And it's not, you don't need to use all of them, but it depends on your situation, the organization's goal, what you're trying to accomplish. You kind of customize your solution. Incorporates the White House executive orders as mentioned, such as the focus on the need for zero trust, secure software, and proactive monitoring. And of course, ISO and EU organizations. So now I'm going to go just quickly here. And this probably should come a little bit after, so I'll come back to this. But there are 2 points that I want to make here. As we go through, and Bassem will do the same thing with his the ISO, we're going to look at that use case and the potential violations or risks that exist in Quick CRM in this use case, and how they align with both NIST and the ISO 27034 standards. And I'll come back to this. But let me go ahead and turn it over to Bassem. Bassem, just let me know when you want me to advance to your next slide. You got it.
Okay, thank you, Mike, for the introduction and the presentation of NIST. So now we will explore ISO 27034, a vital standard for application security. The ISO provides guidelines for embedding security practices throughout the whole process of the software development lifecycle, and its core is it features the organization's normative framework, or the UNF, which defines policies, protocols, and objectives, and the application security management process, which systematically secure application from development to deployment. So the ultimate goal is to ensure robust application security and compliance with global standards. Let's go with the next slide. So why ISO? This standard emphasizes security by design, ensuring that security is not an afterthought, but part of the development process. It promotes risk management, allowing organizations to identify and mitigate application-specific risk early. Its customizable framework can be tailored to specific organization and project needs. Moreover, ISO covers the entire application lifecycle from development to decommissioning, while supporting compliance with regulation like GDPR, HIPAA, and it is smoothly integrated with NIST. Next slide, please. So now let's look at the risk of ignoring application security. Without ISO, without NIST, without standards, organizations faces vulnerabilities and data breaches due to a lack of integration of security into their processes. We are not talking about only the technical vulnerabilities. We have to integrate security within our processes. So security often become reactive, leading to high cost for post-release fixes. Additionally, the absence of robust risk management means missed opportunities to address vulnerability early. Compliance failure and loss of customer trust can result in severe reputational and financial damage, like what we have seen in the US case. Okay. So, Mike?
There you go. Okay.
Mike.
All right, there you go. I'm with you. Okay, guys, once again, excuse me not in video. As I mentioned, in the United States, I know you guys are all over the world. United States, we're having Thanksgiving, so I got a lot of Thanksgiving stuff happening in the background I don't want to distract you with. So just, excuse me on that one, but I am so proud and thankful to be giving thanks here with you today. So we're going to begin again by going back to this Quick CRM. It's a tech firm, once again, if you can remember, introduced a cloud-based tool for managing customer relationships. And the idea here is so it scales all the way up to from small, medium, and everything in between. It's cost effective and it's user friendly. Again, just as a reminder, launched cloud-based CRM for small and medium, cost-effective, user-friendly, and should be adoptable for various industries. So that's quite a bit being handled in that one platform. Offers real-time reporting, automated tasks, and scalable integration with existing business tools. There's a multi-tenant cloud architecture, make sure resources are shared and customer data is secure and separated. And again, there's a lot that goes on with that. Everything that you see here can be unpacked even further. We're keeping the conversation at a very high level. That's for those of you who are very immersed in cybersecurity already, because we have a broad audience. We just want to give you the general strokes, but there's room to fill in the gaps later on. ABC Retail wanted the customer, adapted the system to handle their customer data, track sales patterns, and create what we call targeted marketing strategies. Also, Sarah, who leads their team, her team is enabled to surpass their sales goal because they're leveraging real-time customer insights. Now, again, we talked about some challenges. How do you do all this in an environment, a robust environment, and sustain your reliability? You sustain and scale as customer base grows. Data security becomes more and more important, particularly as industries are more and more regulated, which is happening all the time. You hear in the news all of the different compromises and so forth that are happening with artificial intelligence. This is not going to do anything to get even more complex. So the questions we said to reflect on: how should Quick CRM maintain performance during this rapid expansion so that companies like ABC can evaluate the tools they could depend on? Well, first of all, they should evaluate even before jumping in to Quick CRM, but how should they? What should they be considering? And which strategies are essential for compliance and security in a cloud-centric environment? So cloud is very unique in its structure and construct, and we didn't put here necessarily, but again, as you guys know, things like artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning are all becoming very prominent, which just amplifies the considerations that have to be made for security. Now, we're going to point out a few things here according to NIST. So this is designed to help you contextualize NIST to a scenario. What in this particular sequence you've been giving, the Quick CRM, one of the things that's pointed out that we identified from a NIST perspective is there was a deficiency in their ability to do a risk assessment. So what we saw in our scenario is they essentially had decided, hey, let's adopt this thing because it has the features that we need. And this happens very frequently in the organizations where they're comparing products, is they tend to go by the features of the products, and maybe even if you got a good salesperson, the benefits, because benefits are sold, and typically folks buy off on benefits. However, they failed to perform a proper risk assessment, and this should be done. This is one of the things that's emphasized in NIST. There are 5 points we're going to make here in relation to NIST, and then we'll go over to the ISO 27034. They understood the importance of expanding their operations and to cater to their audience, which is broad demographic. But there is no evidence that they performed a formal risk assessment process and in order to identify and mitigate risk during even the procurement of the system, but certainly expansion and system upgrades. So all of these are things that when you're looking from a NIST perspective that you factor in and you put in mind and you have in your plan. Now, if you guys, again, there's a product management component I always look for with this product and project, because these are projects that we do to implement these. From a waterfall standpoint, if you guys are familiar with this, there's 5 phases. The first one is the initiation. And so when you're doing your initiation, you're doing your assessment, this should be done up front and all throughout the life cycle. If you're in Agile, very similar thing as you're planning, doing your sprint plannings and so forth, you want to factor this in. Sprint 0, as a matter of fact, for those of you who are Agilists. So NIST 800-39, which focuses on managing information security risk. So you look at that special publication and it really detailed to inform about this aspect of consideration. And then, as mentioned, when you're speaking of NIST, it covers not just the NIST special publications, but you're considering ISO, you're considering EU, you're considering White House, and you're considering pretty much everything that's out there. In this instant, we're referring to the relevant ISO would be 27001, because that particular ISO, International Standards Organization, by the way, emphasizes the need for continuous risk assessment and risk treatment plan. This starts from the very beginning. So without a risk assessment, Quick CRM cannot effectively identify gaps not even their current state, because a gap, you have to know your current state and your desired state, where you're going, and then you do a gap analysis. But that has not been done. And of course, there's a lot of unaddressed vulnerabilities that can be missed there and turn into threats, and particularly when scaling and upgrading occurs. Number two, there's a lack of access control measures, which has not really been interrogated. So this quick CRM platform provides a cloud architecture, and everybody's going to the cloud this day. So this is very common. This is why these standards are very, very important. Things like cloud, mobile, emerging technologies, we have to give very, very close consideration and understand these standards and make sure that we're adhering to them. It allows, in the cloud, allows clients to utilize shared resources while maintaining security and segregation of data. Of course, that's the desire, but the potential issue. And it's shared cloud environment. Now, this says shared cloud. Those of you who are familiar with cloud, you have public cloud, you have private cloud, you have hybrid. But anytime you're in cloud, whether it be, let's say, Amazon Web Services, AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, IBM Cloud, Oracle Cloud, or the many other cloud solutions that are out there, it's in a cloud, a shared environment, and it may be protected. The vendor who's providing services to you is typically, depending on what version of cloud you have, is typically largely responsible for that, particularly in a private cloud and a hybrid. In a public cloud, okay, whole nother story. But either way, there's a lot of risk of exposure to data, and you want to make sure you've got robust controls, data segregation mechanisms in place and considered. Here, that has not been clearly and thoroughly examined. So the NIST special publication 800-53 speaks very strongly to that. That focuses on access control, the access control family, and there's tons of those. That's a whole dive in and of itself, just like each of these are. Mandates role-based control, access control, and data segregation or segmentation in order to protect sensitive data. That's a very simplified explanation of the special publication 800-53. But again, all of these take a deeper dive, and we've got some resources we're going to get to you. So just stay tuned, buckle your seatbelt for that. This is just the broad strokes. You're going to hear more about 27034, but this is a direct alignment with that particular standard. Secure application development practices and data access control, among other things. So there was a failure to enforce stringent access controls or even leading to give strong consideration to that, which may lead to unauthorized access or accidental data exposure in shared multi-tenant environments. And again, you hear a lot experience. I mean, just every time you pick up the paper, somebody's getting hacked, some data's getting compromised. You're getting a letter in your mail to say, hey guys, sorry, we just want to let you know this occurred. This is something that is very, very common. And many of these organizations, even the big names, are not necessarily aware or adhering to these standards and guidelines. So this is where you're getting an edge here by coming to programs such as this and educating and equipping yourself, because you can go back to your organization or prepare yourself when you're communicating with an organization you might want to align with as to these best practices. They are very important. Okay, we got 3 more to go for this. Insecure software development practices. So I said secure because that's what you're aspiring for, is secure, but I put the in there because they haven't necessarily done this to the maximum degree. Their priority, of course, was to speed up adoption and to be able to scale and some of the features, so to speak, or benefits that are needed. But when we're talking about adhering, accelerated development may result in insecure coding practices. You're rushing, you're trying to get things done. You have production needs, insufficient testing, integration of insecure third-party apps. A lot of times in these organizations, particularly enterprises, you have other apps you have to integrate with, and APIs and web services, webhooks, and this type of thing. And that's becoming, again, more and more common, particularly with AI, because a lot of what's happening in that space is that you are integrating APIs and webhooks and so forth to third parties all over the place. Now, on the front end, we're not aware of that. We're just kind of pressing buttons and clicking and making requests and prompts, whatever it is. But be mindful that these requests, prompts, and interactions are propagating out across systems and infrastructures and so forth, and there's a lot of risk there. So the NIST Special Publication 800-218, which speaks to the Secure Software Development Framework, SSDF, a lot of acronyms, a lot of mnemonics here, highlights the need for secure coding, vulnerability testing, and regular updates. Now, again, you're getting some letters and acronyms out here, but these are all very deep dives. And again, 27034 speaks to this as well, providing guidance on secure application development lifecycle practices so that you can fast track development a lot of times without security oversight. If you do so, which happens a lot because typically it's go, 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 do, now, but a high risk for introducing vulnerabilities that can compromise the platform's integrity and, of course, data and trust. Number 4 of 5, one more to go after this. Inefficient monitoring and incident response. So ABC Retail, the customer, and other businesses like them rely heavily on this platform. Whatever platforms you have in your environment, your ecosystem, and the ecosystems you may enter, these are critical for these operations. And if anything happens, if there's any compromise, there's a big problem. Any outage or disturbance could have a profound impact on profits, everything, and reputation, not to mention. So QuickCRM doesn't appear to have a robust monitoring or incident report mechanism to handle disruptions or security considerations. As a matter of fact, typically when people are looking at these products and services, they don't even consider that. It's the functionality is typically looked at. But here are the types of thinking that you, coming to a session like this, PCB, and getting exposed, you have a mind's eye on some things that you would be surprised. People have been in the industry for a long time, working for these companies 10, 20, 30 years, are not thinking about. So here, NIST SP 800-137 speaks to information security and continuous monitoring, which of course at a high level recommends real-time monitoring all the time. Don't do it every week, month, whatever. Real-time monitoring to detect threats and maintain system availability. Also, there's a NIST SP 800-61, which speaks to incident handling. An incident, of course, is a vulnerability that has been triggered, a risk that's been triggered. It becomes an incident, and you want to try to avoid that, but you do need to have good incident handling in place. So ineffective monitoring and incident response can delay threat detection, exacerbate disruptions, and lead to financial, reputational losses, among other things. And number 5, there wasn't any indication of compliance to data protection standards necessarily. So the priority again was to speed up the adoption process and prioritize basic configuration needs, features, functionalities, benefits. But there's an issue here. Accelerated development may result in inadequate secure practice, and this happens more frequently than you think. I don't want to scare anybody out there because you're working with a lot of vendors, you interact, you're online, you're doing transactions all the time, but folks, this is a big deal. Insufficient testing and integration of insecure third-party tools, a lot of integrations, a lot of third-party, this is not always being handled properly. It's usually about getting it to work, and security is compromised. So in NIST, the special publication 800-53 again has an area there that speaks to the systems and communication protecting family. So things like encryption, when you're doing data transfer, which is happening all the time. You go to Amazon, order something, there's a lot of data transfer happening there with your credit card, your privacy information, and protection of sensitive customer information. You have ISO 27701, which speaks to privacy information systems management and compliance with GDPR if you happen to be interacting or doing business in UK, and of GDPR, specifically Articles 32 and 33, which mandate appropriate technical and organizational measures for data protection and breach reporting. So lack of alignment with global, and if you're online, you're global, data protection standards could expose QuickCRM to legal penalties and loss of client trust, among other things. This is a very simplified call out. And now, Bassem, back to you.
Thanks a lot, Mike, for the presentation of NIST and how it can help QuickCRM to enhance their security. So let's go dive into the QuickCRM case to see also what went wrong. So we have some development issue. The developers lacked secure coding practice and didn't conduct vulnerability assessment. Their infrastructure had outdated configuration and no encryption or multi-factor authentication are implemented. On the tenant side, ABC Retail failed to verify QuickCRM security posture, uploading sensitive customer data without safeguards, and for the end users like Sarah, used weak password and unsafe practice, further exposing vulnerabilities. So the trust, the ABC Retail trusted Quick CRM and trusted that they are making and implementing everything in security. So that is why they probably they didn't test the Quick CRM before purchasing. Let's go with the next slide. So what could ISO 27034 have done for Quick CRM? For the case of developer, it would have reduced vulnerabilities through secure practice and better risk management. Tenant would gain confidence in the vendor's security and better protection for customer data. And the end user would benefit from safer applications and reduce the risk of account compromise. So overall, ISO 27034 would enhance trust, compliance, and reputation, potentially saving Quick CRM from disaster and prepare them for incident handling. So right now, we will try to, next slide, please. So we will be introducing how to implement ISO. Implementing ISO 27034 involves a step-by-step approach. While it is highly recommended to use the plan, do, check, act cycle for structured implementation, we understand that it can be complex for participants now new to the framework. So to make it easier, we will present a simplified step-by-step process. So first, we start by understanding ISO 27034. So teams need to understand its principle and benefits. Then the organizational normative framework, what we call UNF, is established to define security policies and controls. Also, security must be integrated into each phase of the SDLC. That is what we call shift left, from planning to testing. Finally, we must make a continuous monitoring, ensuring that application remains secure throughout its life cycle. So we will give deeper step by step. The first step, next slide, please. The first step is building. Mike, do you hear me? Next slide, please.
This one says building foundation. Is it not showing up?
It is showing up. Thank you so much.
Okay.
So the first step is building a strong foundation. Start by training developer and teams on secure coding practice and ISO 27034 guidelines. Workshops can help bridge knowledge gaps. Then conduct an initial risk assessment to identify application-specific vulnerabilities and prioritize mitigation strategies. This ensures the entire team is aligned and prepared for secure development. Next slide. So the next step, the second step, create the organizational normative framework. This living document defines the organization's security policies, objectives, and control. Align these with business need to ensure they are practical and relevant. So then document technical and procedural control to address identified risk. Remember that the UNF must be granularly reviewed and updated to adapt to evolving threat, and we should create a UNF committee that is accountable and responsible for updating the documentation. The third step, next slide, please. We should embed security into the whole software development lifecycle, and that is crucial. In the requirement phase, define security features like encryption and access controls. During the design phase, conduct threat modeling to identify vulnerabilities and create a secure architecture. Then in the in the development phase, enforce security coding standard, and automate security tests to catch issues earlier. Integrate even security in unit tests to enhance your code. Then we now comes after developing, now comes testing and deployment. During the testing phase, conduct vulnerability scans, penetration testing, and code review to ensure robust security. In the deployment phase, validate that configuration align with the UNF and are secure. For sure, you have to prepare the application security controls and implement them. Then make an audit regarding the application security controls. So these steps ensure that the application is resilient against threat before it goes live. Finally, the next slide, please.
Are you seeing adapting to evolving? Do you see it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So the final step is continuous monitoring and improvement. So use tools to detect anomalies and vulnerability post-deployment. Develop an incident response plan to address security breaches promptly. And finally, establish feedback loops to learn from incident and refine security processes. This ensures the application remains secure over time, because every day we find a new vulnerability in our infrastructure. We can find vulnerability in the application. So be prepared to detect new threats and prepare for incident response while doing monitoring. Next slide. So after that, we have integrated security in the whole process of the SDLC. So in conclusion, ISO 27034 and NIST emphasizes integrating security into every stage of the application development lifecycle. By applying their principles, organization can create secure application, protect customer trust, and ensure regulatory compliance. So remember, please, security must be proactive and integral, not an afterthought. So let's take an action today to secure our application and build a safer future. Let's implement standards. Let's follow the best practices. And thank you so much for following us. We will go with the question and answer.
Okay, Jetmir. All right. Yes. So there was a live chat bot there. I forgot to mention that you guys could just go ahead and put them in there. Jetmir, I think you're monitoring that.
Yes. Thank you both Michael and Bassem for delivering this highly informative webinar. Now, yeah, we will take some time to address questions from our audience. The first one being, are there automated tools or platforms that organizations can use to streamline adherence to ISO IEC 27034 and NIST standards in industrial control systems, or ICS?
Bassem, do you want to? Well, I'll say absolutely. There are tons, and what I'm going to do here, I'm going to post it. I mean, this conversations we're having now is very surface level to kind of give best practices and kind of give an exposure to the framework. In terms of implementation, yes, tons and tons and tons. But that's a much deeper conversation. I don't know if anything was something you wanted to call out specifically, but from my perspective, it really does depend on the scenario, on the use case, and I mean, you have to do an assessment. You can't necessarily just say, yep, well, here's tool A, B, and C, use them every single time. It's like a toolkit, you load up your belt. I mean, there are lots of them out there, but, you choose and pick and choose depending on the situation and scenario. Bassem, your thoughts on the matter?
Yes, you are right. There are tons of tools, but security is not about tools. We should use automated tools. We should do manual testing. But when we integrate security, it is from the start, from the beginning, from the even when we write user stories, for example, we have to integrate security. So think about ISO like a framework for governance of the whole process of the SDLC. Not only by the end, we will use tools for static code analysis, dynamic code analysis, penetration testing. We need tools also to manage the development project. We need tools, but tools help us with to implement our policies and procedures.
That's absolutely correct, because one of the things you pointed out is that you start from the beginning, right, from the planning stages, and there's a whole ecosystem that rolls out from there. So very good point.
Thank you. Another question is, what are the most common challenges companies face when implementing ISO IEC 27034 in industrial environments, and how can they overcome them?
The most common challenges is about reorganizing the organization and really detect threats and prepare for application security controls. We have many controls, though, so I don't recommend to implement them all. We have to make risk assessment and then choose the right controls to meet our level of trust, because when we implement ISO, we should choose a level of trust and make controls that make us gain this level of trust. Is there any other question?
Yes, thank you. A third question says, what strategies can organizations use to ensure alignment and compatibility between ISO IEC 27034 and NIST frameworks in hybrid IT/OT environments?
So, go, Mike.
We're saying I'll let you go ahead and go first. You got the flow going. I'll come on, follow you.
Okay, thank you so much. So NIST and ISO go together smoothly. So we have to prepare the UNF, we have to prepare the controls, we have to make the policies and procedure, and to prepare those policies and procedure, we have to go and see what NIST said for access control, for incident management, for audit. They are very compatible, and even in the training session of ISO and NIST, we integrate them together.
Yep, and I'll just briefly follow that to say, if you may recall earlier, you saw with the NIST is basically an umbrella over a lot of standards. So NIST itself has is very pronounced in what those SPs, what we call special publications. And there are SPs for various aspects of controls, so forth. But ISO and various ISO standards fall under NIST compliance considerations, including as well as European Union. And, you know, there's some White House standards, executive orders that have been put in place. All of these are factored in when you're mapping out the NIST mindset or the NIST perspective to cybersecurity. So it's a holistic approach. You're looking at everything.
Thank you. And we will take just one more question because we're already over the time. What is the limitations of OWASP or WASP top 10 application security controls compared to ISO 27034?
We use the top 10 WASP. We use them to make threat modeling. We use them to make application security controls and apply them. We use also WASP tools for automation, like Z proxy. We use many tools of WASP. So when we are doing risk assessment or risk identification, we choose the risk, and we should implement secure coding like was prepared.
Thank you once again, both Bassem and Dr. Crawley. It was a pleasure having you part of this webinar panel. Unfortunately, we do not have any more time to take any other questions, even though a lot of them keep coming in. We will address all of these questions to the panelists afterwards, and we will post the answers on the next issue of our PCB magazine, so make sure to subscribe to that. And furthermore, please be informed that this session has been recorded and will be posted on our website and YouTube channel along with the slides of the presentation. Thank you once again all.
And thank you from the United States on this wonderful Thanksgiving holiday. Giving thanks for all of you coming here to get this useful information. You guys have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much, all. Thank you from Tunisia, and keep safe. Let's work together to enhance our security and make our community in better place. Thank you.
Thank you.